Camera's good.
Welcome to the Blairstown Township Committee meeting for September 25th, 2024. Can we have an opening roll call, please, Kristen?
Mrs. Lance. Here. Mr. Loman.
Here.
Mr. McAtora.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Orcutt.
Here.
Mayor Moorhead.
Here. Can we please rise for the flag salute?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231, setting forth the time, date, place, and purpose of this public meeting through legal notice published in the New Jersey Herald and/or the Express Times following the Township's annual reorganization meeting at which the 2024 meeting schedule was adopted. So, good evening, everyone. We have a massive crowd here tonight, but actually it's kind of massive compared to some of our nights, so it's good to see faces in the audience. We have a short presentation tonight, but she won't be here till 8 o'clock, so we will skip through that part of the agenda and go right to our public comment section on the agenda. Do we have any public comments? Come on up, Mike.
Good evening, committee. Michael Sutton, 5 Accidental Trail. Just want to give you a little follow-up on what's going on with 50 Mount Vernon. A week ago Monday, they had their court hearing to determine what percentage and who was at fault for the dumping. No news on that, but they came away with they are not going to challenge the cleanup, so they move now to a settlement hearing which will take place on November 13th. I spoke with Bureau Chief Thomas Farrell, and we've been keeping in touch. I'll give him a call on the 14th when he finds everything out. I did ask him that this hearing that's coming up, whatever you put into your cleanup, will that continue? And he said yes, and they're also going to provide people from the DEP to oversee that cleanup. In fact, I believe they're also going to make sure that it ends up at the right transfer station too. So I'll have more news to exactly when that will start, but I know that they had, once it starts, I believe it said 90 days. So I'll keep everybody notified.
It's a lot of work.
It's
How
going
much
to
do you
be,
anticipate they're going to take out of it, Mike?
I'm sorry?
How much do you anticipate they're going to take out?
Close to 1,000 truckloads.
Really?
Well, some of their test pits went down 24 to 26 feet, I believe, maybe
Wow.
even 28. So they got a lot of work to do. And I'm
Who pays
glad
for
they're doing
this?
it.
Who pays for this?
They do.
Okay.
They're not contesting it. If they had contested it, they would have to get a court date, and that's 5 to 6 years out,
Wow.
from what I'm told. So DEP is pretty happy with that.
But we appreciate your efforts, but I'll believe it when I see it.
That's why,
When the cost,
Walter, I'm following up,
Good.
and I just want to let you know, through this endeavor, I did not bankrupt the town.
I understand, but when the cost, if it's 1,000 truckloads, when the cost of the cleanup exceeds the value of the property, somebody's gonna walk away.
We've been following step by step with this, so all I can tell you is
No, it's good
if we
information.
follow the protocols, we are a lot further along in 3 years than most people even dream of getting. Vernon still hasn't happened.
There's a similar situation that you're monitoring at Hope too, I think.
Hope they have called for them to remove the farm road in its entirety.
Well, great job, Mike. Thank you.
So we're
Really
moving
appreciate
along,
all your efforts.
and we'll make sure that it gets taken care of the right way.
Thank you for being our eyes and our ears and our muscle on this, because you really did. You really did. There was pressure applied. I know that. So.
It's
All
been
in, you
enjoyable.
did a great
I've
job.
learned a lot.
Yeah.
you guys have any questions?
Yep, just thank you.
I do have a question for all of you. That beautiful sign would be great. Maybe you throw a nice little thing up, just as goes through each day, reminding people that they need a permit before they bring in fill, swale. That'd be awesome. And I did have a question.
Yeah, we talked about that 2 or 3 years ago, that was one of the things we would use that we forgot about.
Correct. I didn't forget that.
Yeah, good.
I do have a question for the mayor.
Absolutely, go ahead. I'm trying to find him an outlet, that's all.
Your monthly mayor meetings,
There's one
has there been any talk amongst the mayors regarding the dumping of fill, soil, whatever you want to call it?
Well, a little tip.
Yeah, but we have a little,
We got wires going
I
on.
can hear all of you. Can you hear me?
yeah, but they can't, the people at home can't hear Charlie. What he says
That's probably a
is
good
really,
thing.
really important.
Try that.
I have no idea where the open port is.
Oh, that's yours?
They no longer have those mayor meetings.
They don't.
It was a COVID thing. It would be great if they,
That would be.
it would be, but,
Then you can share all the information.
yeah, but they did that through COVID, and then,
Okay.
that was put on the Board of Health
Maybe
organized.
you can restart.
I think we should. It's not a bad idea.
Well, that's it for 50 Mount
Now
Vernon.
they can hear me.
The trees in the front of that property are dying, and they're not ash trees. I'll let the DEP know about that also. So, that's where we stand.
That's cool.
Thank you, Mike.
My pleasure.
Good. Thank you. Thanks, Mike.
All right. Come on up, bro.
We're all plugged in now.
We haven't seen you in a while, and it's very good to see you tonight.
Thank you. Well, I always have questions. Mostly worrying. I had heard some rumblings about possibility of selling our water. And I'm here to say, we went through this 10 years ago and decided not to. We've driven a new well since that time, and I believe that it would be wrong to do. Any company that comes in will simply raise the rates, and I'm not sure, there was a law at one time, I don't know if it's in existence now or not, that a sale of water would have to go to a public referendum. And if that's true, and you have it in the back of your minds, I suggest you get it on the public referendum before you do anything. But I have my files from the last time, and everything that I have in here tells about the problems associated with selling a water department. And my advice to you right now is don't even think about it. That was number one. Okay. Now,
Since I'm the water guy, I could, if you're willing to loan me that packet, I'd love to read
sure,
it.
I can give you the whole file.
I just had a file in my hand today that you gave me a couple of years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for the downtown, you
He's
know.
just now looking at it.
yes.
Just now looking at it a couple years
I
later.
got to that layer on my
Yeah,
desk.
I know. I keep telling myself I have to get rid of all my files, but I never do. Now, my other thing is, I was looking at my tax bill, and I see you doubled the open space tax. Now, how much money is in the open space tax? And what are you doing with the money?
How much money is in reserve? Or, I mean, that's,
Okay, and how much money is coming in every quarter from the open space tax?
Not every quarter, but every year. And we didn't double the open space tax.
It's, all right, it went from 57, from .023 to .040. It's almost double.
in all fairness, it's a pretty small number to begin with.
Why not?
It's a pretty small number to begin with, so
I know,
it's-
but that's.
saying it's doubled is a little
What are you doing?
alarmist.
And how much is in there?
I think Walter's working on it.
What am I doing?
Are you,
You know,
I don't know what you're doing.
I
Do you
personally
have something to
always-
bring up on the screen, or?
Open space seems to be that town seems to be a picking night.
Yeah.
All kinds of things.
Well, we can't tell you right off the top of our heads right now exactly what, it's all in the budget, and we, you know, we did have
Okay.
we had an
You have
open,
a copy of the budget?
absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
The open space, Blairstown open space.
He has a pie chart, I
Tax raises $280,000
Per quarter, per year?
for the year.
Per year. I used to be more than that.
Well, we're at
So
the,
maybe,
we're at the maximum, or, right, the maximum's 4 cents, and we're at 4 cents, right? Isn't that how we did it?
No, I think there's a cap of how much you can raise it over time.
well,
So
if
we're not
you're
at
getting,
the you can raise
if
it.
you're getting $280,000 a year from the open space tax, what are you doing with it?
We are trying to create a surplus again in open space, which we have depleted pretty much. We use it for maintenance of our open space properties, which as you know are quite a few of them. We use it for equipment to maintain those properties. As you'll recall, we paid for the loader out of the open space fund for many years. I think that bond just got retired last year or this year. And $280,000 doesn't go far.
Historic preservation.
Yeah, it's historic preservation and recreation too, Ralph. It's not just open space. That fund, that 280,000 is not dedicated to just open space. Historical, recreation, open space.
Blue water,
Huh?
might be blue water as well.
Yeah.
I'd like to know, can I get a breakdown from our financial officer on that money?
Yep, come in and see the clerk, come in and see the clerk, and she'll get it, look at it for you.
Okay, $280,000, quite a bit of money, and I just don't see the results of it. So I'm interested in that. Okay, I guess that's it.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
So it's 2024, so about 2026, Rob will look at that folder with it, you're gonna
Yeah,
get.
I'll get around to it in my next term, I swear. No, I actually, I had the thing for the downtown beautification that you
Okay, I
did.
remember that.
And I was on the phone with him, and I said, no, I just found something that Roe gave me.
All right, there's a lot of information in there, what the perils are in selling the water. And I wouldn't do that.
Well, the perils of keeping it are very expensive, I have to say. And I don't know, you know, we talk about open space, but if we do keep it, we're looking at about, just to get us back into spec where we ought to be, about $3 million. And that doesn't come easily for a small town.
How much money did you spend to dig that new well?
Less than $3 million.
Yeah, about $500,000.
$500,000?
Yeah.
Well, that's an investment already. Speak to Blair Academy, maybe.
But honestly, that well is the only value that we have. We have our backup well, everything in it needs to be replaced. That's about $1 million. The tower is over 100 years old.
I've spoken with Blair Academy about maybe going into that with us.
Yes, we have spoken with them in the last 2 years. We pleaded with them and they, with no interest. They're half the users too, by the way. Pretty much one half the users.
And in
Yeah, they use most of it.
they do, yeah. And also in response to the rates will go through the roof. The rates are regulated by the state. So we can't,
The water rates?
yeah, water rates are state regulated. We can't jack them up. They have to go up in very small increments.
Which we just did this year. We
But-
jacked the rates up a little bit.
Yeah, but I would love to sit down and actually talk to you about this, okay?
Watch your step,
Joanne, I saw papers.
I'll wait a moment.
And no, I did not ask her to come up and ask those questions, just in case. Well, I guess my first question is, I'm Joanne Van Walkenburg, Stillwater Road, 14 Stillwater Road. 2 months ago, I came up here and I was told comments only. And then tonight, you had people asking questions. Why are you discriminating against me?
No, I mean, when we say comments only, that's really for timing. It's really in fairness to everyone, so everyone can have their 5 minutes. So if you want to ask questions, that's fine. We may not have the answers. Like with Roe, we answered what we could, but if we don't have the answers readily on hand, everyone knows how to get in touch with us over the next 30 days. They have 30 days to talk to each and every one of us at length. We are always open for anyone. So a lot of times it's just having a Q&A in fairness to us and to time and for everyone waiting. We just, you know.
I was not at my 5 minutes. I was a lot less than my 5 minutes.
I don't even time you. You realize that?
Comments only.
I don't even time
Comments
that.
only. And, you know, you should have.
Can you turn on Joanne's microphone?
Joanne.
So we can hear her?
Tap the mic and see if, no, it's not.
You can't hear me?
No, we're sending a tech out.
The call's very important.
Is there things that we on this?
We might have
Oh,
to,
on is up.
I think mine's working.
no? There you go, okay.
Thank you.
Want to hear me again? I want to know why I'm being discriminated against.
You're not at all.
I was told comment only, and it wasn't very nice.
Maybe I probably worded that a little harshly, but if we can't have a Q&A with everybody, or we'll just be here all night. And we start
I
off.
understand that, but
and-
you are supposed to open the meeting for public questions. And then-
Right, but we don't have to have the answers. That's,
No, we
you know, so
understand that.
there may not be a lot of,
Don't expect you to have the answers.
may not be a lot of back and forth, so just
Okay,
understand.
so let me bring some other things up.
And by the way, before you get started,
Yes,
I spoke to the mayor about changing the format, and we are going to do that January 1st.
okay.
He
good.
said Joanne wanted that, and I
It
said, that's the best idea I've heard in 5 years.
Well, we used to, at the end
I
of the
know,
meeting,
I know.
open it up for public
So
questions.
January, we're going to start doing that again.
Unfortunately, we've had some pretty low
I'll be
attendance.
ready.
But, no, you're going to be up here.
I'll be
We
ready.
can control you better up here. But honestly, at the end of the night, there usually isn't a lot of people left, so.
Right.
I hate making people wait that long, and especially when we were making people wait for agenda items, and we're getting out of here at 10 o'clock at night. It's so unfair to everybody. So it's just hard to start off with a Q&A because it starts to drag the meeting later and later.
We
So.
want to think about moving the meeting back to 7 o'clock. We used to meet at 7, prior to Walter coming in. And it's changed to 7:30.
He sleeps till 4 in the afternoon, though.
Let me know, I'll wake him up.
Okay.
All right, so anyway, I know you changed the agenda, and there's some items on here that I have some questions on. Number 7, 8, and 9, when you get to it, so I'd just like some explanations on it. I just want to know on number 7, that's fixing the salary and wages of the officials, if there's anything that is over and above the traditional, I don't know if you had a 2% increase in wages, but whatever the typical increase was, if there was anything that was over and above that. Number 8, the resolution to amend the interlocal service agreement. I'm hoping that that means that you are going to be going after somebody, the other town, for fire expenses that we. It was updated again. Yeah, oh, well, it was?
Yeah, so that,
Is that off now?
that actually,
No, that's not, but the next one you're going to ask about is.
yeah, not to interrupt you, but the number 8 has nothing to do with what you're
Okay.
thinking about.
All right, we'll put that one to the side, but anyway, come January, or let me ask you even before that, we need to get money for our fire. And I don't mean the hose company, that's not us. I'm talking about the fire company itself. And all the things that we do, the costs that we have, the water, the insurance, the phones, the air packs, the trucks, the maintenance of the building, paying the people that we pay, the chief and the assistant and the people that take care of the trucks and the maintenance, everything. We provide fire services to our neighboring town, and they used to give us money years ago. We don't get anything anymore. And I would expect to get at the minimum of $5,000 from them to help us a little bit with our expenses. In the past, they said they wouldn't give it to us because we didn't have a tax. Well, guess what? That no longer is the case. And we need to be a little bit more proactive in getting some money from them. That's number one. Number two, we used to get money from them also for recreation. We had a shared service for recreation. We don't get anything from them. They don't even have a park over there. They don't have a swing set over in Hardwick. Everything, mother over here has had enough of paying for everything for the other towns when we have a tax that many of our people are upset about. Now, I'm not saying municipally. I know it's because of the schools, but that's another issue which we'll get into in January. Also, a lot of people are asking about the car wash. They want to know if the water is still being recirculated the way it was when the original car wash came in their ordinance. They have to recirculate the water and not dump the water or put it into septic or whatever they're using over there. So can we just verify that that is the case, that the new car wash is doing that?
Don't quote me, but I have a feeling it's a state regulation that they have to do that now.
Okay. I just
Certainly if they gutted the place and
yeah,
which they did.
They changed a lot of things, so I
Yeah.
just want to make sure that that is still being done, that all of a sudden we don't find out that.
That's one phone call away, yeah.
I think that's actually, you could probably find out from the building department, from GCA, because I'm sure if they have a requirement to do that, they have to have a system in place, they have to have it put to that fund.
I hope.
They have to
All
have
right.
a wastewater discharge.
Yeah.
I'm going there tomorrow, so I'll ask them when I'm there. All right, also, we wanted to get an update on the water company, and Rosalie mentioned that. And an update on the remediation of the Walnut Valley,
Oh,
is if that's done.
No.
Don't tell me they found another one.
No, you're close. They have to now test for other things. And we just got the email this afternoon. It's the...
Never gonna end.
No.
Never gonna end. All right, so I guess that's it. All right. Thank you.
This whole thing will be much easier when you're up here.
If. Okay, thank you.
All right.
Just my opinion.
Any other public comment? Mike?
Want me to go again?
No, the other Mike. Okay. Bob?
No.
Okay.
Good.
A speechless Bob Halberstam.
That's never happened, Bob.
I know. I have to find my place again here on this. Okay. Moving along to the department head reports for the month of August. We've got Blairstown Ambulance Corps, Blairstown Fire Department, Hose Company number 1, Department of Public Works, Police Department, Tax Collector, Township Clerk, and Vacant and Abandoned Properties. We will be addressing each of those reports in our committee reports later in the evening. We have a motion to accept our...
Motion to accept, Mayor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Couple of minutes to approve, June 26th, 2024, both executive session and public session meeting minutes.
Mayor, I'll move those two, and then we'll deal with the other one separately. We'll see that.
We have a motion to move June 26th, executive and public. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Abstain.
There we go. On to August 28th, 2024, public session meeting minutes.
I would like to move that we receive that and accept it as correct.
Second.
I'll be abstaining from this because I was not here. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
Abstain.
Abstain. Oh, you weren't here, I think. Just said that on,
You said that on the record.
just said that on the record.
Now we all know.
No one heard that, I'm sure. We have one ordinance tonight for public hearing and adoption, 2024-12. It's an ordinance amending Chapter 19 of the Code of the Township of Blairstown entitled Land Development. This is just our escrow, raising the escrow money for fees, yeah. And that's from our land use board.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Well, it's a public hearing. So I'm going to open it up to the public. Anyone with any questions or comments on 2024-12? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing section and move on to adopt. We have a,
I'll make that motion to adopt.
I'll second.
all right, roll call, please, Kristen.
Mrs. Lance?
Yes.
Mr. Loman?
Yes.
Mr. McAtore?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Orcott?
Yes.
Mayor Moorhead?
Yes. All right, we have a consent agenda that is eight things long tonight. 2024-84, appointment of emergency management coordinator, that would be Nick Moore. 2024-85, appointment of deputy management coordinator, that would be Brian Walsh. And 2024-86, appointment of additional deputy emergency management coordinators, that is Scott Johnson, the other Moore, Robert Moore, and I'm forgetting the third, but
Michael
Mike's historic.
there you go, okay. Number 4, 2024-87, redemption of certification of sale for block 1901, lot 3. Number 5, 2024-88, approval of sale of municipal assets. That is a 34-year-old truck. And I think they're selling that for $2,500. They went out to auction on that for several weeks and they had absolutely no takers. And it's a,
That dump truck.
no, it's a fire truck.
Well, that's
The one sitting down, at the salt shed, I think.
The Mac, the white?
It's an
No,
international, or I think I.
It's a
no,
1950.
Oh, okay.
ladder truck or something, not ladder truck.
Oh, yeah.
The one sitting there.
Yeah.
2024-89, approving vouchers and claims. 2024-90, fixing the salaries and wages of officials, appointees, and employees of the Township of Blairstown, in the County of Warren, State of New Jersey for 2024. And number 8, 2024-91, resolution to amend interlocal service agreement compensation to Township employees. And Joanne, you want a quick rundown of what that is?
Yeah.
So our interlocal service agreements for all of our employees, we have 4, correct?
Yes.
Would the finance subcommittee like to do the overview on this? I don't want to take away your.
I don't want to do it.
Oh, no, Michael, let's do it.
You don't want to do it? I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to do it. In conversation with the mayor earlier today, I'm going to reiterate that we like our employees and we hope they stay with us a long time. We hope they retire from here, all of them, without exception. So that being said, we were faced with a request to review the percentage of compensation that we receive from the other municipalities for the interlocal agreements and understand what portion of that has to be matched by Blairstown as far as the employer's contribution towards payroll tax and FICA and all the other things that we have to pay to make sure that it was in line. And previously, how it was set up, the funds that were received from the outside towns, we would receive, and 75% of that would go to the individual employee that they would receive under Blairstown's payroll. And what ends up happening now is, after reviewing that, we were trying to have an understanding to make sure that everything that was pension costs and, as we say, the different contributions from the employer was not in any way subsidizing whatever was coming from the other towns, and that everything was proper. When we started to look at that, we realized that there's not really any way to calculate that. There were some numbers that were very readily available to us, and there were others that we had to actually get calculations from our payroll company. And in looking at that, we started to realize that it was very difficult to go through and figure out, since payroll, since pensions, PERS pensions, only bills 2 years after the fact. It's very difficult to have an understanding of how much we're paying and how much we have to reserve. And the whole point was to be able to have a small percentage, not to make any money off of any contract or anything like that, but to make sure that Blairstown was made whole and that in fact had a very, very small percentage over and above that to cover an admin cost, which seems reasonable because there is actually, other values and other things that are there. The whole intrinsic value of someone being in another location and not being in Blairstown was also taken into consideration. And so what we started to look through was it made more sense that the funds that were coming from the other towns be instead received outside of pensionability. And I don't think that's ideal. I think that part of the nice part of the agreement previously is that there would be a pension boost for our employees who are in that circumstance. Kevin, am I describing that okay?
I think so.
I think it's a nice thing to be able to offer. Unfortunately, mathematically, there's not really a way to be able to do that and make sure that we're correct and that we're not subsidizing another town. So the CFO and I took a look at it and we said, you know what? The easiest way to fix that for right now is to remove that amount from pensionability, but to go ahead and decrease that instead of being from 75% to being 87.5%, so that the individual employees are going to be able to keep that additional 12.5%. Unfortunately, it also makes them that portion of funds unpensionable. There are ways around that, and I believe our clerk has researched that there are other towns who do it differently. And that is something that we might look forward to in the future because we want our employees to be happy with what they're paid. And we recognize that it's a small town. A lot of these are small towns and it's the only way to be able to look for extra income. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. If you're 100% of that town's staff, that's how it is. Anyway, so for Blairstown's part of it, we're moving from receiving 100% and paying out 75% to instead paying out 87.5%. And it's in an effort to make it more fair.
But you just mentioned that you're not sure whether or not we are covered for all of our expenses.
Oh, I'm sure that we are. What I will say to you is that we started to look through the percentages that we know and that there were two or three different variable ones to be able to come from the, in fact, I'll hand it to you if you want. We actually got some figures from the payroll company to be able to look forward to. And in general, there's in each case, there's at least 2% or 3% over. It's different for each different employee, but there are definitely percentages that we keep that are over and above that. It just makes it fair for Blairstown. Blairstown doesn't have to subsidize any other town. They have to cover their own expenses, and that's really the fairness.
And if somebody from the other town comes into Blairstown because they want to pay their taxes or they want to talk to the CFO or they want to talk to the assessor or something like this and they fall and get hurt, whose insurance is that? And they're from another town, whose insurance is covering that?
Any member of the public could walk into any public building at any time. So that's
But they're not coming in for Blairstown, they're coming in specifically for their town.
They're in the building.
So Blairstown's responsible.
They could be in the building for any reason. So
That's a concern. That's a concern, especially in the winter time.
I mean, honestly, I could walk into Milton Township or Harvard Township or Hope Township for any reason, and it's the same thing.
So could I. But what I'm saying is because they're here and they're working for that town, people are coming in from that town for that.
They come in
So-
because of construction. They're out of business
I'm
construction.
talking to them right now.
I
But
think
actually, there's no dialogue here. We're getting in the weeds here over this. So if we can, if they're,
that's the best I could cover it for you, and that's the best to my knowledge, and I'm very comfortable with the arrangement that we've come to. I believe that we would look towards a better arrangement for them at some time in the future, but this makes it square right now.
Okay, just one other comment that the auditor had suggested that you don't do that, you do it the typical way, but the other towns pay their share, and we pay our share. The auditor has mentioned that several times. Just to let you know.
taking the pensionable part out of this really gives us that buffer that we need, where, and you and I have had a discussion on this, on are we going to end up on the hook for anything? And we won't, that was the point. That was what we were aiming for here. And as committee person Lance said, we're up here earning a couple $100 a month. We come and go. We are here for as long as we want to be, or until the public doesn't want us up here anymore. The folks that work here, and we have a very small handful of really professional, amazing people that work for this town, we need to work in their best interest. As long as it does not affect taxpayers, we need to work for the taxpayers and the folks that work for us, because we want them to retire from here. We want to retain our employees the way any good business would. And when it comes down to it, everyone who works here is working for, it may be a public entity, but it's a business to us. We have to run it like a business, and we take it seriously. And we wouldn't just go handing out money that's not there. But since we're already collecting that money from the other towns, and it would just go into our general fund, our fund balance anyway, and sit there. In this day and age, for people who are only eligible for a small cost of living increase, we can't give the full-time employees just raises willy-nilly. It has to be across the board, and it has to be fair for everyone. So we see an opportunity to make folks a little happier and able to live in an economy that costs the average household $14,000 extra a year to live. We'll take that opportunity, and I'm glad we could. So that being said, I will, since there was some contention on the eighth item for our consent agenda, I would like to ask for a motion for consent agenda items 1 through 7.
I'll move 1 to 7.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please, Chris.
Mrs. Lance?
Yes.
Mr. Lohman?
Yes.
Mr. McAtora?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Orcott?
Yes.
Mayor Moorhead?
Yes. And for number 8, 2024-91, we have a motion, please.
I would like to make a motion that we adopt it as presented, please.
I second that.
Roll call, please, Kristen.
Mrs. Lance?
Yes.
Mr. Lohman?
Yes.
Mr. McAtora?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Orcott?
No.
Mayor Moorhead?
Yes. All right, so we have Tara in the house. I'm going to just pause everything here and get you up here, and we'll get an update on what's going on.
But you're not getting screenshots because TV's not
The
cooperating
TV's
on airplane. Something's wrong with airplanes.
Am I on?
No, you gotta use Kevin's.
You want me to be on?
Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
We're good? Okay, so you said update on what's going on. I shall start there.
Okay.
First of all, for the record, Tara Bensanati, Nolan Township resident, and I'll just keep it simple. I'm wearing the I-80-611 Delaware Water Gap Coalition hat at the moment. The update on 611 is it was targeted to be open middle of October. The new open date right now is November 5th. Open means, as I explained last time, open except for a section, I don't know how long, could be as long as a half mile, I heard that in a press statement, with signals. We don't know if those signals, we hope to find out soon, if those signals will be smart technology. So when there's a backup on 80 going this way, it'll funnel that traffic through faster. Don't know that piece yet. What's also being creatively looked at is the reality of the truck traffic in there. It is width restricted, not weight restricted. And whatever signage they had up that they deem appropriate by all standards under these conditions have never worked. So you have traditionally interstate 80 traffic when there's backups going through 611, and you have truckers wanting to bypass the weigh station coming down 611 and and once they get in that chute, once they get past Portland, once they get into Delaware Watergate, there's no turnaround.
No.
So we have featured this thing, and there's real creativity going on about what to do about that. It is not acceptable to expect the same results, different results with the same process, and they're working on that.
The restrictions that are there currently, I believe they're just width restrictions.
Correct, 8 foot.
That's 102?
Is that 8 foot?
102 inches is not, 96 inches is permitted, 102 inches is not.
I thought it's 8, I know it's width restricted, I just committed there. I thought it was 8 feet. But whatever it is, it's width, it's not weight.
Yes.
So it's not even like they can bring in the scales, you know, the mobile scales and make a statement. Once they get them in there on scales, where are they going anyway? They're going to wind up going through. So it's a problem. So anyway, all hands are on deck. It's being, the meetings are being run by Congressman Cartwright himself, and everybody's there, and it's a very different process than we're used to. So that's the update on 611. The update on 80, before I get to resolution discussion, is tomorrow night at the Knowlton Elementary School at 5 o'clock. The DOT is coming into town to do one of their display shows. They get to show us what they plan to do for the retaining wall. They have yet to answer our questions from the meeting that Eric was at, and our state and federal legislators was at. So they've not answered our questions. They've not provided meaningful responses to our comments and questions, and yet they come to town to show off why they feel they need to replace the entire retaining wall, all 49 panels, when 38 are good and fair, and 4 are critical, being addressed right now, and 7 are in poor condition. Why they need to replace the entire wall when 11, by all standards, need to be addressed. I can talk for an hour on that. I shall not. But tomorrow night, all are welcome to come to that, and of course there'll be information coming out about what we do about that afterwards. Can you join us?
I will be there.
Excellent. We're being represented well. Monroe County is going to be there, Warren County, at our 5 o'clock group walkthrough. Blairstown's going to be represented well. Upper Mount Bethel, Smithfield, Township, both sides we're in good shape in terms of representation, because we have to keep showing up at these things, and they get to check a box that says they did what is legally required under federal rules for these kind of projects. So we have to participate. So those are your updates, and I will shift gears to the resolution that I shared with you when I was last here. I mentioned that we have now, in 2025, we will have 5 simultaneous projects in preliminary engineering. I'm not going to use the sheets for the presentation that you might have in front of you. I'm just going to rattle it off. So in 2025, for the first time, we will have 5 federally funded projects in preliminary engineering. We will have the 611 retaining wall being designed and studied, probably an environmental impact statement, because that is a National Register of Historic Places listed. It is in there. And we will have our NJDOT's retaining wall project that they want to push. And we will have rockfall mitigation on both sides as projects. And they have their retaining wall broken into 2 pieces, so that's 5 projects. And there's no coordination between the agencies. Federal Highway New Jersey and Federal Highway Pennsylvania don't work in the same offices. They're not in the same region. The federal requirements for the National Environmental Policy Act, for NEPA rules, right now they're separated. Each project will be in its own little review, will be an EIS? Will it be an environmental assessment? Will they consider cumulative impacts, which is like a big real thing that they should be doing? No cross coordination. When it comes to studying traffic impacts, are they considering coordinating these projects in a meaningful way to reduce those impacts? And I can tell you the answer is no. Right now, the wall project is right now scheduled for construction. I think it's 2028. That is right when they would be doing the wall project on 611. So we've learned a lot in this process with the New Jersey Department of Transportation and the Rockfall project about these processes. And the other set of law, the other law, which is the National the National Historic Preservation Act, about historic resources. Our entire Delaware water gap is likely eligible to be a national natural landmark, as well as a national historic landmark, two separate designations, in addition to Appalachian Trail, in addition to Sunbridge Fish Pond up top, which is a natural landmark, likely eligible. Early in the process, if that can be determined, it can help things go faster. For example, the Lenape Native American tribes, not until 8 years into the rockfall mitigation process did they get what is happening, and the entire Delaware water gap is being evaluated as a traditional cultural property, traditional cultural landscape. That's another designation. So that's 8 years in, because the agencies weren't working in an efficient, in my opinion, responsible manner to address these things early in development. So we've learned what can be done and how it can be done, and that there is a way to integrate the Environmental Policy Act stuff, the EIS, the EA, and the historic resources stuff. There is a whole process that happens out west all the time for big projects that out here, New Jersey's not dealt with it, Pennsylvania's not dealt with it, they've certainly not dealt with it in projects that are overlapping together. And very much that's what this resolution is about. It's about asking, it's about picking up where we put on, Knowlton passed a resolution about all of this, Harvard passed a resolution about all this. We had to start there because the projects are in their jurisdiction. If they're not passing resolutions, then we can't be going to the other governing bodies in the county saying, can you support similar actions? So Knowlton, we started there. We then branched out across the river, Lower Mount Bethel, Upper Mount Bethel, Portland, Smithfield Township, Middle Smithfield Township, Stroudsburg Borough, Stroud Township. I started at ground zero, for obvious reasons, we're the ones blowing up, and stayed on the Pennsylvania side because they are the 55,000 people, most of the commuters that are coming through. They're the businesses and the industry that are affected by their freight not getting there and the visitors not getting to them. So I expanded a little beyond ground zero there first. Federal Highways was, I'll say, acting right. We had started discussions at these higher levels, which is what we're supporting here. We had reached out to find the right people to talk to, and they had started talking about having the meeting as requested by, in coordination with Congressman Kane's office and Congressman Cartwright's office, and then they started changing what they thought we were asking for and proposing having the meeting which wasn't going to be useful. It was going to be more of the same. So therefore, because of that, I thought, you know what, we're going to go now, expand it to the next one. Here we are, Blairstown asking for the support. I'm going to be going up to Hope next. Same thing, you know, firefighting services through mutual aid. They're in the Delaware water gap, and I'll be going to some other municipalities on the Pennsylvania down into the Slate Belt. So basically, this is saying You expect the DOT to address all previous concerns expressed by you guys. I referenced your previous resolution back in 2018 when you were against the Rockville project as proposed at that time for reasons that were right for Blairstown. So you're expecting those things that were asked back then that have yet to be pretty much responded to be addressed. And Warren County Board of Commissioners has also, I should have said, Warren County also passed a resolution asking for these things. And they're right there with us.
Today?
No,
Or previously?
previously, no, that's not the meeting I was at. I couldn't figure out how to be at three places. So you're supporting and encouraging every possible action to safely open and maintain all lanes of I-80 and 611, of course. So we're supporting requests for consultation with CEQ and ACHP. CEQ is right under the president. It's a presidential thing, and they're responsible for all things National Environmental Policy Act. So everything that has to do with NEPA and EIS and process falls under them. Congressman Kane's office has already started conversation with them about what to do when things go awry. And ACHP is right under the president. That's the council that does the historic property stuff. I've already been in touch with them about this. So you're supporting those actions. You're expecting an environmental impact statement study for any planned Delaware Water Gap project, which includes an independent non-federal highway, non-National Park Service lead agency. What that means is these environmental documents, EA, EIS, has a lead agency. At this point, we feel they fumbled the football, clearly on New Jersey side. On the Pennsylvania side, that agency wasn't able to do right things to get the tribes to realize what needs to be done to open 611. It's been closed for 2 years. And what they're doing right now could have been done 2 years ago. So that's another fumble. So we're asking for a different lead agency, and there is a process that we're tapping into. This helps us with the process of getting to that next level thing. And you're supporting that we're requesting the Delaware Water Gap be reviewed as those national historic landmark and a national natural landmark. And you're expecting updates to be provided to very likely our clerk here. And you're acknowledging and appreciating actions by Congressman Gottheimer, Congressman Kane, Congresswoman Wild. They've all been on record. And Congressman Cartwright, as I said, is already engaged in all this. And of course, we threw in there that we would love our support from our senators. So, questions?
So if I understand you correctly, what it is we're pointing out the multiple bottlenecks and the timing, the aggravation that will place and the difficulties that will place on businesses and residents on both sides of the river, different hardships that happen because of that, not the least of which is to our emergency services. That's really how it would mostly impact us here, is what I think. And what we're asking for then, as a result, is a different lead agency that is unbiased by some of the difficulties that we've asked for and not been answered, and that we would request that other things be taken into consideration, including those multiple designations, and to get it speeded up and coordinated in between. Is that about right?
Yes. Okay. Exactly right. Hold on. Want to come next meeting?
I'm right there.
Thank you.
Don't see any reason why we can't get it on the agenda for next meeting.
All right, while you're here, maybe you could give us an update on our wild and scenic.
I'd love to. You really want
The
that?
mayor's permission, of course.
That's what I'm wondering. You really want it?
No, I'd love to know if it's wild or scenic yet at this point.
Thank you. So the process, it's an enjoyable process. Karen was with us last night at Frelinghuysen. Frelinghuysen is the first municipality that we're starting from scratch. You know, we had been here, and we had been at Hardwick, and we had been at Knowlton about the Lower Delaware process. So you guys kind of understood it, and you know we're coming back when we have your resolution ready related to the Paulin spill becoming its potential own wild and scenic river. But Frelinghuysen was the first municipality where we showed up talking specifically about the Collinskill. It's an enjoyable process. People, every right question, how is government going to be possibly coming into my backyard where I have, riverfront on the Blair Creek, and to use your context, is there any way that somebody's going to say residents need to be on my land to fish, or there's going to be new rules? And the answer to all those things is it's easy to say. The answer is no. There's nothing as a matter of fact, the Act specifically says home rule. Whatever laws, whatever property ownership rights somebody has, whatever laws, ordinances you have, whatever laws DEP already has about, especially in our state, all the water laws, they're the priority. So it's nice to be speaking about a project that it's just about opportunity for now and preserves opportunity for later. So that we specifically wanted to not come here with the resolution yet, because I wanted to use Frelinghuysen model resolution for this project as the model resolution. So that's going pretty well. So I'll be here, I'm thinking probably November, December. How's that?
Cool.
Good?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going well, it's fun. Thank you for asking. Thank you. Anything else?
You wear a lot of hats.
I have time. You know what? It's my time. Others have done this before me. And I was aware of them and envious in some way that they could do that kind of thing. So it's kind of, I got what I was looking for in some ways. So thank you for being a part of the project.
Thanks, Darren.
Thanks.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Nice to see you guys. I'm going to depart. Good night.
I could never absorb the amount of information you have in your head. No need for cue cards there. All right, let's move on to unfinished business. Want to talk about anything?
Charlie has an update. He has an
Do
update.
you have an update on that?
It's Groundhog Day.
I think we leave it on there just to needle you a little bit.
I talked to Donald again this week, and, Charlie, I'm coming up in 2 weeks, I'm gonna be there, and it's like, okay, whatever. My argument would be that the Jones Farm is now environmentally safe. Donald has not been responsive. When I talk to him, he's very responsive, he wants to come up, but it hasn't happened. So I would suggest that if we have any developers out there or any contractors that have insurance that would like to reclaim a lot of wood, please come see us for Jones Farm. Tentatively right now, we're looking at another week and a half before Donald shows up, but I'm not optimistic. And when I look at the amount of lumber out there that is reclaimable by any contractor, again, by all means, please show up. So that's all I have for Jones Farm.
Okay. Any other unfinished business off the agenda? No. New business, North Warren Midget Football Helmet Drive. That sounds like a pretty good event.
It does, and there's someone here that
We
should
have
like to
Alex
speak
here
about
to
it.
talk about it tonight.
Well, come on up. If you want to,
Maybe your steps in the daytime.
Alex Usidowitz, North Ward Midget Football. I live at 55 Fort Worth Road. So we've tried to do this in the past and it just never worked out with the amount of volunteers. Our actual kids that are playing this year versus a lot of our prior years are down. So we're not bringing in the registration that we used to. A lot of our helmets are coming of age. We're not getting the donations that we previously were getting through businesses. Money's tight, we get it. But in order for these kids to play, we want them to be safe. So the only way that I saw fit was to do a helmet drive. You all know my husband Eric, he's a fireman, they do boot drives, it's kind of a play on that. So we are asking to use the intersection at Lambert Road. We will not be on 94 due to safety concerns. We also will not have any children at the site during those hours. It's just, we don't want that at all. So it'll be strictly parents. I will be at that event from beginning to close. Eric will be in code, because we're using them as well. But that's it. We're kind of just hoping you guys will let us do it. So
I think you'll do pretty well, I would hope. The firemen, well, they do pretty well too, but they can't put out fires and things.
yeah, I know.
But no, I honestly, the Masonic Lodge does it, and they do very well. So I think you'll do just fine, and hopefully get some helmets out of that. So.
We hope.
Any questions? Any concerns?
You're looking at me now, you know I got.
I know you got a whole lot.
Yeah, you know I have something to say about this. I mean, I would give anything to make sure that you have all the finances that you need for these young men and women that play this sport. And I'll do anything that I can to aid that. You know what happened a week and a half or 2 weeks ago. I was left just, again, I coached for 9 years at that level. And when I saw what happened, I was so taken back. And I think your league official needs to take some action. But all that aside, anything we can do to further help you in getting the money that you need to help these young men and women with their equipment, we will do. So, enough said. I don't think we need to.
Is that a motion, Charlie?
Yeah, it sounds like a motion to me.
Well, I definitely would make a motion that we support this.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right,
Thank you for your
Guys.
efforts.
fill those helmets. Get some
We
new
hope.
ones.
You need any
Hope to
cones?
see you guys
If
there.
you need any cones for traffic right now, I think you know where to go.
Yeah.
I know a guy.
Thank you.
We've got an application for facility use for the North Warren Lady Patriots basketball.
They're requesting to use the parking lot, the fire department's parking lot to sell homes. Since it's township property, we gotta use the facility use form.
The fire department.
Not the side of the building, the actual fire department.
I would make
It's
that,
new.
I would definitely make that motion that we support the young ladies in their basketball endeavors.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? There we go. Easy as that. Could we find any more correspondence for this
Just
month?
wanted to make sure you guys were all up.
Oh, yeah, you updated us on pretty much everything in there. I'm not even sure if there's anything we need to highlight, although.
I will say that one of the matters that was presented, a letter that was sent by Mr. Day.
I was just going to say
Mr.
that.
is taking care of.
Okay, good. All right. Yeah, that was the one that was probably the most alarming.
Yes, it is.
And we'll make sure that
I've since spoken to our animal control officer and
okay, excellent. From our township attorney, do you have anything for us, Kevin?
Good evening, everybody. Not a lot tonight. I guess that's usually a good thing when I don't have much to say. But I did want to let you guys know that actually just today I got an email from the attorney from the school board and to resolve all the issues. They were kind of making announced issues, but nevertheless they were lingering on our SLEO agreement. So we will. He was going away on vacation, but certainly in the next week or so, that's going to come to Kristen, signed by the school board, and we can sign it and that stuff.
Excellent.
So that's a good thing. I think that's it. Very quiet.
Thank you, Kevin. Do you have anything for us, Kristen?
Actually, just regarding the municipal housing situation with the affordable housing for the administrative agent, like you and I sat and discussed, I didn't get any quotes yet for an administrative agent, so that's why I took it off the agenda. So I'm in the process of working on that.
Committee member Lance?
Thank you, Mayor. Two things.
I did get some feedback from several residents over the past month that they're very grateful for the new sign out front and that they feel very well informed. We had a very positive sign up for the senior upcoming trip for an Oktoberfest out in Pennsylvania. And it was very easily facilitated by the fact that they were able to understand where to be, what to bring with them, and it went very smoothly. The other thing is we received some information about the possibility of a grant for consolidation of school systems, and I say I think it's a wonderful thing to look forward to. I don't know if that's something that we want to pursue. I think it is. There's a lot of opportunity that happens. Of course, the study has to happen first. I think that there were previously barriers that each of the individual school systems had to say yes for the study, and now that barrier no longer exists. So that is something to pursue. And I see my favorite Bob Halberstadt in the room, and I would ask you if you'd like to give any details about our very brave and very hardworking ambulance squad.
No, I wouldn't.
I certainly have the numbers and I could read them.
I was in the crowd, Bob Halberstadt, president of the ambulance corps.
Thank you, sir.
I got, somehow or other, I didn't show up one meeting and they made me president, so what happens?
I see.
It's the truth, you know that. I have a brief report. I usually send it to Committeeman Lance. We got called out on a bunch of calls, but this is for the previous month. We had approximately 89 calls and traveled about 2,000 miles. And most of our calls are medical emergencies, trauma emergencies, lift assist, standby at the scene of a fire call, standby at footballs, search and rescue on the trail. We had a few of those. And in addition to these are the many hours of required training and other services to the community. I think I said that we had 580 volunteer hours put in by our volunteers, unpaid, obviously. And for others here, if you are a resident, you are no longer held liable. You weren't then either. There's no out-of-pocket expense if we come to your house. If you have insurance, whatever they pay, it's fine with us. If you're not a resident, good luck. Anyhow, one other thing, we now have 3 members of our squad who is currently training to be EMT at Newton Hospital. They're into about 2 months and they should graduate probably in December. And one of them is my daughter-in-law. Sort of,
Congratulations.
so kind of osmosis. And now my son wants to join the ambulance corps. We're going to have our own squad working.
I do understand, Bob, that we even have some people who are on the ambulance squad who are going for their RN, going for medical school, going for all sorts of different higher education for that.
Yeah, on their own, in addition to being a member, they want to further their education, and they started with the ambulance corps and they love it, and now they want to become a nurse or a doctor. As you know, we've had many members who went to North Warren Regional who met, got married, now are doctors and nurses, and it's it's something we do not to pay. We have the time. Someone once said, what do we do with all the time that someone has given us? And if you think about it, we do it because we have the time. Some people want to do it, they don't have the time. Fortunately, most of us do. I thank you all. I thank you, Mr. Benbrook. Thank you, Joe.
You guys do a great job.
That's-
Always have.
Thank you very much,
One
Bob.
used to be the old firehouse, the one beacon, love that.
And Mayor, that's what I have for today.
Thank you, your minute.
Thank you, Karen. Committee member Lowe.
Yeah, I'll just say, Dennis Keegan got back to me about the schedule for Walnut Valley, and just said that they pushed off the test pit until November, at the request of George from the wall. So they just finished their season.
That makes sense. All for you.
That's all I have.
Committee member McAtura.
Okay, I'll start off with the municipal court. I tried to include the dollar value that we've received so far this year so that we could anticipate what our expenditures are going to be. Unfortunately, the entitlement of the document that sent me said 2023, at the bottom of the page said 2024, and there was figures in there for October, November, December, so it's like, you know what, I just threw it away because I didn't have time to, I couldn't find out exactly what the true numbers are. However, I will tell you from the court, from July of 2023 to July of 2024, we added 1,208 cases. They disposed of 1,311, so that means there's some of them obviously back there at class dated cases. They cleared 103 cases, which means they adjudicated them with the judge. The backlog presently is 71 cases, and our active pending cases with the Frankfurt court is 177. When I look at that amongst all the municipalities in Warren County, and I have the document here, we are really in great shape. So, you know, kudos to them. They're doing an outstanding job in the court, and we can't thank them enough because I know that our officers are happy, the chief's happy, and financially we're saving a lot of money. So it's a win-win. I'm going to go on to the police department. Our newest member, Riggs. Riggs is performing extremely well in Union County Academy for Dogs. The school did weigh in on his name. It was originally, I forget. Urkel, okay. So we did change the name to Riggs, or the police department changed the name to Riggs for the dog. And so hopefully we'll have him very shortly out on the road. Everybody will get to meet him. They're still looking for a candidate for an SRO for Warren County Regional. We did have a candidate, the 11th hour. He backed out, chose somebody else. So it's ridiculous how hard it is to find a retired police officer, corrections officer, sheriff's department that wants to do this job. So we're offering very competitive pay, and we still can't get anybody. So if you know any officer that's retired recently, or anybody in the law enforcement community that would be interested, please reach out to the chief. The other thing is they're working with the county to try and improve the communications, again, with our radios, so they have issues with that. They're looking at possible upgrades. Everybody that is on social media, notice that North Warren Pharmacy got hit again. Unfortunately, we had some gentlemen, I don't want to call them gentlemen, but some individuals break through the front window. Thank God that there was somebody relatively close that spotted them, which probably alarmed them and they left without taking a lot of items. That particular burglary, if you've seen it, is also being coordinated with the state police because we had an incident on exit 12 where an individual got pistol whipped just prior to that. And we also had an incident in Alamucci Township Pharmacy of a burglary that happened right after that. So state police ended up taking over the investigation, and they're trying to link all three together, and hopefully we'll come to a good conclusion on that. And but anybody that can help North Warren Pharmacy and Frank, I mean, he doesn't deserve this, and he's been a great member of our society, our community. So we wish him the best. I'm going to read this verbatim. This is from the chief. Residents should be aware of a scam going around involving a letter that states they have hacked their phone and computer and are aware of their, quote, dirty deeds. They will be sharing pictures and contents on their contact lists. It further demands that they pay through Bitcoin to make it go away. Some letters have included pictures of their homes that they can easily obtain through Google. So for the seniors out there or the non-seniors, you get anything that's suspicious where they're trying to extort money from you, the very first thing I would recommend you do, and the chief would recommend, call the police department, let them vet it for you first. Please don't send any money to anybody over the phone because of some type of extortion attempt. And lastly, from the police cars, we now officially have our 2023 police car in service. It took a while. Our 2024 car that we purchased is presently being prepped for the K9 that is going to be coming aboard very shortly. And other than that, that's all I have, Major. Yeah.
Thank you, Sarge.
Charlie, while you were talking about the SROs, I hear through the grapevine that the regional is doing something with Frelinghuysen Township School as far as the SRO or whatever. How does that affect, you know, us bringing in an SRO? Is it going to create another vacancy that we're going to need to send another SRO to the high school, or would our SRO be sent to Frelinghuysen Township School? It sounded kind of messy.
No and no. North Warren Regional has their own security force, if you will, or their own security staff that are non-law enforcement personnel. So they just recently hired 2 other gentlemen to join that staffing, if you will, to where they are going to sub them out to Frelinghuysen. It has nothing to do with our SRO. Our SRO is our police officer reporting to the chief strictly for Blairstown and North Warren Regional, and has nothing to do with Frelinghuysen or anybody else. And it just won't happen. It's not us.
Good.
Excellent. Deputy Mayor Orca.
Nothing to me.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wait.
No.
Can we have that?
Write that down on the
I just want to urge everyone to go down to Paulina and look at the kill and the removal of the dam. It really came out, it's 90% done, it looks really nice.
Thank you, alternate. Trying to steal my thunder.
Oh, you were going to do that.
Whatever.
You almost got it.
Almost. All right, let me see here. August fire report, Blairstown Hose Company, number 1. They had 38 calls of duty in August, 29 in Blairstown, 9 in Hardwick. And that's it. They didn't have to travel all that far in August. I will give them, Hose Company, our police department, and the Blairstown Ambulance Corps, a huge word of thanks personally for me for responding to my house in August. And they absolutely the most professional team of folks that we could have representing our town. Our volunteers are some of the best in the county, and if you don't believe that, you haven't spent enough time with them, and you don't realize what it means to be a first responder. And there are fire department individuals who sometimes are the first through the door at a medical emergency. And there's no smoke, there's no fire, but there is someone there as fast as you can possibly imagine. And between our police department with incredible response times, and our fire department, who when they get the call, they are on the road immediately from their houses. Really amazing to see, and I thank them from the bottom of my heart for the help they rendered for me and my mom in August. What else? Water utility. I had a conference call with the folks from Collier's Engineering today, and we also had our water operator, John, on the phone as well, and talking about what's happening, currently with the state of our system. We had an independent inspection today. We had to do it because of DEP regulations, but we had an independent inspection of our water tower on Blair Academy campus. And if anyone knows anything about that water tower, they realize it's older than anyone in this room, even Bob. It's amazingly old. It's just, no, but it was built in 1911. It is from a completely different age. When you look at it, you realize, even the inspector walked up to it and said, wow, the rivets on these are rivets. These aren't even bolts and nuts. These are rivets. You can't do this kind of construction anymore, and the steel doesn't even exist to make this kind of structure. But that being said, it's only as good as its lining, its roof, its paint, its coatings, and they did put a submersible in there, and they did find where all of the media from our filtration system at our backup well, they found where it went. Because at one point they opened up the filters and said, there's no media in here anymore. And we didn't think we didn't have any instances of clogging, drains or faucets or anything. Well, they found it all. It made its way up to the tower, blasted out through the inlet, and piled up at the bottom of the tower there. So yeah, we had a study, an evaluation done in 2014, the last time that was done. So they did a pretty comprehensive check on it today, and we'll have the full results of that in the weeks to come. And we also, Colliers stressed the need to hire a financial advising firm to evaluate our assets and our earnings with the water company. And I have a couple of, there aren't many financial firms, independent financial firms that do this sort of thing. So I do have two that have been used in other municipalities. One is Phoenix Advisors, one is NW Financial Group in Hoboken. With the committee's permission, I'd like to reach out to both of these and see what it would cost to have a financial evaluation of our water utility made. It is something for the WIPA process that we've started. It is a very necessary step, and right now it's the only holdup in advancing.
You need a motion on that?
I would like.
I'll make that motion.
I will second that motion.
Before we do, I just have a question.
Sure.
Did they give you specs about exactly what needed to be provided from such an evaluation?
It's our assets, value of our assets, and
Future billables?
projections for where we're going with an increased rate, how much income will we have, all that sort of thing.
And in concert with Collier,
Yeah.
knowing how they're going to market.
Right, okay.
Also,
Because the mayor said we can't move forward with this.
no, we're at a standstill now until we
We have to have
They
it.
need to have evaluation, absolutely.
We must have it.
Also, where did I write it down? I was writing on a lot of different things today, depending on. And now the state, in true state fashion, they also need to know what we'll do with any funds that we make from the sale of the water company. Obviously, we have debt to pay still. We bonded quite a bit for the new well, so I'm quite certain that would probably go.
We'd be lucky to get enough to pay that
Yeah.
off.
If we would, yeah.
But that's the way,
But, I mean, I think that would probably be the ask. If we could at least, go even on what we've laid out over the past 5-6 years, and, it was a handsome sum. But what we're looking at, with the East Chrisman backup well, number one, the well is in violation in so many forms right now. DEP mandates that you have to have a backup well. We can't just rely, and it has to be a totally conforming backup well and inspected. Can't rely on that main well. Thankfully, that main well has been putting out a very good quality water. We tapped into an aquifer that we got very lucky. It doesn't have the high levels of iron and manganese that we have over in East Chrisman, and it doesn't require the levels of filtration. And as we go into the mid part of the 21st century here, the DEP is getting very, very, very tight on what they're allowing in water these days. So our monitoring has to be much, much more stringent, and our any sort of remediation that we have for any of these chemicals found in the water, any of these naturally forming chemicals that we have to, it's going to get much more expensive to treat the water. We're very lucky with that new well, though. It's putting out some very nice water. And it's handling even the demands of Blair. Our telemetry to the backup well is shot, which means the wells do not talk to one another. So if the main well, the new well, needs backup from Blair, it can't ask. So when we get the alarm that it's getting close to capacity pumping, someone has to literally drive to the East Chrisman well and turn that on. And that...
I think I saw the bill for that, but we're still paying that though.
Well, it also goes to the tower as well. So there's tower that, yeah, there's telemetry that the 3 sites talk to, but our backup well, as far as communication goes, is completely offline. Pretty much everything in that building at our backup well is shot. Not only is it well out of any sort of warranty range. I mean, there are companies that made some of the things in there, like Culligan. They don't even make commercial water apparatus anymore. Yeah, they're totally out of the game. Most of that stuff in there is predates anyone that even works on the equipment. All of that has to be replaced.
Upon sale of the water company, what happens to that building and property? What are you anticipating? We're just, if we went lowball, what it would cost to get everything back into spec and get a good clean inspection card from the DEP, we're probably looking at about $3 million, as I told Ro. Yeah. And one of the, and Ro, you had mentioned earlier that we would have to go to referendum in order to sell it. We've opted for a different route, and it's called WIPA. What it stands for, it's just not going to come to me, but my brain at this time of night is starting to shut down. But what it is, you're showing the DEP and the state that the town has such hardship, that the water company is such either a financial drain, it's in such disrepair that we're not providing clean water to citizens and all that. Really just on the financial hardship alone, we qualify. So that allows us to go straight to sale and not have to go to public referendum on it. Because honestly, the DEP sees that as a pretty perilous situation where we can't move forward with the repairs. We don't want to burden the taxpayers of a 6,000 resident town for 220 water bills. That's all we service 220. Of course, you know, Blair is about over 40% of our water usage, and we've even talked to Blair about taking over the system. But no, everyone sees that expense of that 1911 circa 1911 tank up there, and then our backup well, which just needs to be gutted completely, and the treatment costs there are high too because of the quality of the water. All of that put together, the state says you guys need to do something, and you need to do something quickly. So they do allow us, through a lot of hoops that we jump, they do allow us to sell the system. Now, I've done, and I'm going to read everything you gave me here, Ro, too. The nice thing about, to our water customers, the nice thing about having a private entity own it, back years ago, the private water companies, the public, the large water companies didn't really have many holdings in Northwest Jersey or West Jersey at all. They've grown by leaps and bounds. They've taken over a lot of small systems. And with that growth, it also allows them the financial freedom to be able to come in and fix everything a lot cheaper than we could do it. They have their own teams. They have their dedicated teams that do it. And that cost is spread out over their... And the efficiency of one operator who can reach 4, 5, 6 different systems.
Right. I mean, everything is computerized, everything is modernized and updated. We don't have the ability to do that. And the strain we put on really one person in our DPW to maintain all of the records, maintain all of the equipment. We run him pretty thin. He's there on weekends as well, checking the well. A larger company handling this, it just makes sense for us. And I even thought, well, why would they even want such a small system? But they do see value in it, in that we do have that one very new well, and it's pumping very good water. And they also have one of the finest private high schools in the country, on that system. So I guess that probably looks good to them too. And up at East Chrisman, there are actually three wells there, 2 or 3. I think there's a couple of capped ones. With a little bit of, with a lot of money and resources, they could open up those other wells, pump other wells, and they could start running lines to neighboring towns. So they talked about that. And they talked about running farther down Route 94, servicing a lot more of our commercial properties, certainly taking a lot of strain off of different parts of the town.
Would they, may I ask a question?
Sure.
Would they be allowed to take water and transport it elsewhere? You kind of touched on that, because I'm wondering how that will affect the local water, what's the word for it?
The aquifer?
The aquifer?
Right.
I don't think that would probably be a commercial endeavor, like a company that fills swimming pools and things like that.
Right.
A private water company they're not really in the business to do that. They have a lot there, and I didn't even touch on all the lead pipes that we have in this town that are all going to be replaced by 2031. I think that's the
statement.
Yeah. So that's another expense that we didn't even factor into the sale. And we don't even know, we don't have, the system is so old because a lot of the system dates back to when John Blair was alive. We don't have mapping for a lot of the system through the village. We do. According to our water department, we don't have accurate mapping. They have a little hodgepodge of sticky notes that they did once, but every line is not really accounted for.
If I may, Mayor, the other thing is, the state's going to come in and regulate as far as the fees and what they can charge.
Yeah, they can't. Yeah, they can't raise the rates.
So it's not going to be an
I was supposed to
exorbitant.
ask you about that.
Yeah.
Well, it's not going to be an exorbitant, increase in the residents. The other
Would it
thing
be
is,
possible for them to say would be supplying the water to increase our housing density in that area? Is there any land up there that's not developed or preserved?
How would they do it without sewers?
Yeah.
How would they do it without sewers?
Yeah, we're not talking
Just
sewers.
water would not increase the density.
I mean, water, public water is a nice thing. I think certainly when you're in an area that's prone to power outages, you still have your water working. And anyone who's been through any of our long power outages knows that.
but the other thing with these companies, they're looking at it from the long haul. So they're looking at 20 and 30 and 40 years from now, to recoup their expenditures and start making profit. Whereas when you look at it from a municipal standpoint, I mean, if we spend $3 or $4 or $5 million, we want to recoup that as quickly as possible to pay off our debt, where they can absorb that kind of a debt and look at 20 years from now and say, okay, this is going to be a lucrative deal for us.
Yeah.
So from a business perspective, I can understand where they're coming from to say, okay, we're going to invest $3, $4, $5 million in Blairstown, but they're also looking at, what's going to happen in 20 years from now? What about the municipalities surrounding Blairstown? Where can we service? So they're not just looking to give us a handout. I mean, it's all about monies for them. But from a business standpoint, it makes a lot of sense for them to do this. There was a lot of interest in speaking to the representatives that we had that want to buy this system. So, I mean, and I agree with the mayor. This is not something we should be involved in.
They don't call it blue gold for nothing. And we have the resource, it's very precious. And I'd be-
And honestly, we don't have the funds or the manpower to protect it and protect the folks who drink it the way we should. We really, the stumbling block in protecting that water is us.
In working with Blair,
I don't think Blair has any interest in being in the water business.
well, I have a good friend. I'll see what I can.
If you can get a foot in the door and start a conversation, I would love that, but, yeah.
We'd love to talk to them.
Yeah.
Okay, I will.
And what, actually, and I was telling someone today that the first time I mentioned this, I wasn't even in office, and I think Joanne will remember, it was at that budget meeting you held at the high school. And I was listening, and I didn't really, the budget made sense to me. We were trying to implement a municipal tax, but I stood up and I said, can you tell me why Blairstown is in the water business? And no one could really answer that question. Yeah, no one answered that question. I think Steve Lance tried valiantly to answer it, but even he didn't have a good answer. He said, well, we tried to sell it, and they didn't offer enough. And,
It's wrong to us.
yeah.
Blair. But, don't forget the elementary school's on there also.
Yes.
Have you checked the water numbers, the loss, just to check the billings versus the usage? Is it getting any better?
It's getting a lot better. And you pointed out that loss of over 1 million gallons that time. And unfortunately, that was it was a vacant house that had a break underneath the front lawn. And no one knew until the owner came back and drove across the lawn and the car started sinking in and reported it was all just pooling and then going back down into the ground, and it was really hard to tell.
Down by the kill by Sunset Lake Road.
Yeah, behind the school. So.
They're looping around to the original question.
I'm not sure what the question
You
was.
What about the?
I spoke to Ro the entire time.
What about the real estate? What's the plan? Do they take the real estate? Is that part of the sale of the water company? How do we deal with the little, the part that's attached to the part? Do we lease it for 100 years? How does that work?
I don't think they would, because we're talking about small parcels that are township property. I would probably, perhaps our attorney could chime in on this. I think a lease deal would probably be the best for us, but, I don't think we couldn't relinquish a building on the end that's attached to our firehouse.
Well, we are, yeah.
But the Paulina property is kind of standalone.
I'm not sure frankly how that's going to wash out.
I mean, our financial planner is going to ask you that. As soon as he starts to value-wise, he's going to want to add the real estate in or not add it in.
We would have a suggestion for it.
And I'll probably defer to buildings and grounds on that.
That may be.
So I don't think we can
That's what we're
sell
paying for.
an ancillary building. You can do an easement,
I mean,
do something like that.
the old well is standalone, that could probably,
Yeah.
the new well, where that's located, would probably have to be some type of
Very small.
long-term lease.
It's a lot of water, so, yeah.
Full dam.
And if anyone has not gone, as Deputy Mayor Orcutt was saying, if you haven't gone over the East Chrisman Bridge in a while, and it's funny because I read things on Facebook of people that have no idea that the dam is gone. The Paulina Dam is completely gone, and they have gone all the way down to bedrock. What you see there is the actual bedrock that dam was built on. And not only did they remove the dam, but they've sculpted the area in a way that it's pretty breathtaking. It's huge. And you can imagine when we get very heavy rains, because the pollen skill is dependent upon rain. It's really what makes it flow. When we get heavy rains, that area is going to be able to handle that water so well. And I can't wait to see next year when the vegetation grows in. They're going to do some plantings. They were even working downstream on the other side of the bridge the other day to take a lot of the stuff that had accumulated over the years and rocks and things. And it's going to look beautiful.
Keep in mind, that is going to grow. It's going to grow into weeds and all kinds of things. But also, I'd like the committee to keep in mind that property, we own that property all the way down along there, and that's going to be ripe to sell back to DEP in the very near future when we're all done.
Right.
Just like they bought the properties down on Vale Road, because it's adjacent to the hiking, to the Paulsco Valley Trail. I think the DEP will pick that up in a second.
And for anyone on Facebook complaining that that's a horrible use of taxpayer money, well, you're right, and you're also very wrong, because not one dime of taxpayer money went into the demolition of that dam. That was the DEP, the money that the DEP gave us all came through fines. That is from having a really good Department of Environmental Protection in this state, and every one of these large companies and small companies and individuals that thought they could get away with dumping, the fines all have to be used for conservation purposes. And this was a really nice project. Everything else, every other dollar came from donations, private donors to the Nature Conservancy. So not one taxpayer dollar went in to the demolition.
And I think at the end of the day, it didn't even, the Nature Conservancy put money in too.
Yes,
There was
and that's all private
It was
donations.
in excess of the, whatever it was, the $5 million grant.
Yeah.
And honestly, the negative comments that I have seen from, I don't know, people who fish there once a year or who pass by on their way to work or whatever else, I think that photographers, I think I've seen that as well. I understand that it looks different from how it did, and I understand that just the mere fact that it's different. The novelty at some point will wear off and whatever else, but if you go by the other dam projects that have been removed, either on the Muscanac-Con or even much closer, right down by Warrington Road, the bridge down that goes through Knowlton. Warrington Road, that's what it is. Worthington Road.
Yeah, go to Columbia.
Yeah. Very honestly, you see that over time the water meadows recede and the natural species come back, and the channel either increases in its depth, or it's because of the width that's there. The rushing and the motion of the water carves whatever it needs to and takes back whatever it needs to in time of flood. And those other projects that have happened, they're beautiful now. And it may take some time, but over the length of time, I think that the other concerns that people have as far as the cleanliness or the visual or any of that will really correct a lot of themselves.
And the shad, don't forget the shad.
The shad.
The shad.
The shad will make it to
But I mean,
Paulsco Lake.
the biodiversity, like anything else you could possibly do, it's self-correcting.
Rob?
Ron, there's another state program, the Blue Acres program. If you live in a floodplain, and you're willing to accept the money that the state would offer for your building, they will come and take it down for you as long as you don't rebuild.
That's half the village, Rob.
What happened?
That's half the village.
I know, but I'm thinking about the Udell building.
Yeah.
It's been abandoned forever. And I was in the building 10 or more years ago, and at that time, it was falling apart.
But didn't we recommend that to Jeannie O'Brien or something? Didn't she look into that?
Can we
Blue
get that
Acres?
taken down? If we can get that taken down?
Which taken?
I think there are plans for that building.
Can what taken down?
You mean to
The
The
Joni building.
restart?
The U building, the red one.
Can't just take it down.
But I do think there are plans for
And that's not necessarily in the floodplain.
What?
I don't think that's in the floodplain.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's why you have the village.
Half the town is.
Yeah. All right. I have nothing more. Any other things to bring to the committee's attention before we proceed to close?
Motion to adjourn.
I can second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Thank you so much for being here tonight, folks. Appreciate it.